a great franchise with Cy Young and Babe Ruth, followed by Jimmy Fox, old Double X. And then there was Moses, Lefty Grove, followed by the splendid Splinter, Ted Williams. And then, of course, in Beantown, who would forget Yaz, Carl Yastrzemski. And today the torch has been passed to Nomar Garcia Parra. And on the mound, Pedro Martinez. The Red Sox are here. It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Fox Sports Net 2 presents the Dodgers as they take on the Boston Red Sox. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to Dodger Stadium on this Friday night. The Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. The Dodgers 1 game back of Arizona, and the Red Sox 1.5 games in front of the New York Yankees. For the pitching matchups in Game 1, John Burkett, who is certainly no stranger to the National League. He pitched for the Giants, Atlanta, and Florida over here. And Burkett, no stranger certainly to the Dodger hitters. Meanwhile, Hideo Nomo, a Dodger, then a member of the Red Sox, and back to being a Dodger again. So there are no surprises tonight, except the fact 2 ball clubs who are playing very, very well, meeting head-on. In the National League, however, the Red Sox have struggled. They are 5-7 against the American League. The Dodgers are 8-4. And remember, the Dodgers have won 7 straight series and 9 of the last 10. They will be challenged this weekend. We'll get to the starting lineup. We'll have it all coming up for you right after this. Dodger Baseball is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. By Jack in the Box, where we don't make it till you order it. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, Gatorade, is it in you? And by Nissan, driven. Welcome to Los Angeles on this Friday night. The crowd coming into Dodger Stadium, we would figure somewhere around 40,000. For Game 1 of the 3-game series between the Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. The Dodgers 1 game back of Arizona, and that will be Toronto at Arizona with Steve Parris going against Rick Helling. Meanwhile, Baltimore is at San Francisco. That'll be Erickson and Reeder. And here in Los Angeles, all eyes on Omar Garcia Parra, the whiz from Whittier, who comes to Dodger Stadium, as usual, one of the #1 players in the American League. For the Boston Red Sox, they are a phenomenal club on the road. They are 28-9 away from Fenway Park, where they're only 2 games above 500 for whatever reason. And they're a very so-so 3-3 on this road trip. And the lineup cards being presented at home plate. So let's take a look at the names on the Boston card. Johnny Damon will lead off in center field, and old friend Jose Offerman will be at first base. Nomar Garcia Parra will be the shortstop, and Brian Daubach hitting cleanup in left field. Shea Hillenbrand will be at third base. Trot Nixon in right field. Doug Mirabelli, you might remember him when he played with the Giants. He'll be behind the plate. Lou Merlone, the second baseman, and John Burkett on the mound. In the dugout, and now out at home plate, the 43rd manager in the history of the Boston Red Sox, William Grady Little. And Grady, at one time, working in the Atlanta organization. He was at Richmond for a couple of years. In fact, he even managed in a rehab period with Odalis Perez. And they're going through the ground rules for Grady. Dana DeMuth is the plate umpire, with Danley, Hudson, and Relaford working the line. For the Dodger lineup, as Jim Tracy has a club that has won 8 out of 12 from the American League. Dave Roberts leads off in center field, and Paul LaDuca behind the plate. Sean Green hits third in right field, and Eric Harris moving up to the cleanup spot. Brian Jordan hitting in the number 5 position. Adrian Beltre at third base. Mark Grasolonic returns to the starting lineup at second base. Cesar Torres sits this one out, and Alex Cora will play tonight. And on the mound, the fellow who pitched a no-hitter for the Dodgers and for the Boston Red Sox, that would be Hideo Nomo. So we're just moments away. Game 1 of the series. Dodgers and the Red Sox coming up after this. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Friday night to you, wherever you may be. It's a lovely evening here, 66 degrees, and a light sky overhead, so the lights, of course, will not take effect for a while. The youngsters have gotten their autographs from the big fellas out on the field, and now they happily run across the field. A thrill of a lifetime, I'm sure, for a lot of little peanuts who are heading their way to the Dodger dugout. But now it's time for the big boys, and it'll be the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Red Sox have won 45 games, and the Dodgers have won 43. And the Dodgers, as we mentioned, a little more consistent than the Red Sox, who are 28-9 on the road, but only 17-15 at home. Hideo Nomo is pitching for a team that has won 21 games at home and 22 games on the road. And for Nomo, a record of 6-5. He has won 4 in a row. And for Hideo, his record is 6-5. He has knocked off Tampa Bay, Milwaukee twice, and Montreal. So it's not exactly as if he has faced the best teams in the league, but nevertheless, he has made the most of his opportunities, and now he'll go tonight. One thing for Nomo, when you look at his numbers, you realize he has been struggling. He has 66 strikeouts, but he has 51 walks, so that's not much of a ratio at all. Behind him tonight, mostly familiar faces. He will have Eric Karros at first, Mark Grasolonic at second. Alex Cora will spell Cesar Torres. Adrian Beltre at third. Then you have Jordan, Robertson, Green in the outfield, and LaDuca behind the plate. For Alex Cora, the 8th time that he has started at short, but of course he started at second base last night. And so tonight it's his Torres turn to sit down and watch. Johnny Damon will start it off, and Damon takes a strike, and the count 0-1. One of the better things that happened to Johnny Damon was the fact that Grady Little took over as the manager. The strike one pitch on the way, and Damon, the left-hand hitter, it's a fly ball to center. Coming up is Roberts right there, and Dave puts it away. Damon has a chance to run, much more so for Little than he would have with any other manager who usually would like everybody to take a shot at the Green Monster. But Damon, a speedster, loves to run, and he has stolen 17 out of 21, and you can bet Little will run him every opportunity. Now the former Dodger, Jose Offerman. In fact, tonight, Offerman, along with Pedro Martinez, returning to Dodger Stadium. Jose hitting .225 with 4 home runs, 21 runs batted in. First ball hitting, he hits a ground ball to Grasolonic, and he's done. So that didn't take any time at all. And with 2 down in the first inning, the batter will be Nomar Garciaparra. When the American League Red Sox play the National League, there's a dramatic difference. Although Garciaparra continues to lead the way, hitting .323 with 8 home runs and 55 runs batted in. Garciaparra has had his own problems, twice on the DL with a hamstring, once with an ankle, and most recently last year he was out for 4 months with a bad wrist. But he is healthy now, and that makes him a marvelous hitter once again. Nomo into the windup and deals, and the pitch is low, ball 1. To give you an idea of just how good a hitter Garciaparra is, when he's up there with the bases empty, he's hitting .265. When he's up there with runners on base, he's hitting .380. He swings and doesn't get it. When he's up there with runners in scoring position, he's batting .392. And toughest of all, when he's up at the plate in scoring position with 2 out, he's batting .457. The 1-1 pitch on the way to Anthony Nomar Garciaparra, and that's fouled away. One of the things that might be happening to the Red Sox, the very fact that they are missing Manny Ramirez. Ramirez out with a bad finger. He broke it sliding headfirst against Seattle, and so they are struggling until he gets back. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Garciaparra, outside, ball 2. The Sox were 16-8 without Ramirez at the beginning. Now they are 3-6. So without Ramirez, they are just about 5 games above 500. The 2-2 pitch on the way, and it's swung on and fouled back out of play. One of the familiar trademarks of Garciaparra is first fussing all the time with the gloves and then the tapping of the toes. 2-ball, 2-strike count to him as he finally quiets in. And Nomo delivers, swung on and missed. So Hideo Nomo strikes out Nomar Garciaparra. The Red Sox are gone 1-2-3, and at the end of half an inning, Red Sox nothing, Dodgers coming up. Sox failed to score in the first inning, so the Dodgers come up. We are delighted to see, among other things tonight, we have babies here in the ballpark, and a very proud grandmother holding on with both hands and arms, and plenty of youngsters of every age ready to see the Red Sox and the Dodgers. And John Burkett, a 37-year-old out of New Brighton, Pennsylvania, on the mound. Burkett started off in fine style, coming over from Atlanta. He was 7-0 for the Red Sox until he stumbled his last 2 times against Arizona and his own club, Atlanta. So John Burkett going to work. It's been nearly 6 years since he started a game at Dodger Stadium, and the first pitch to Dave Roberts in for a strike, and the count 0-1. For Burkett, he's made 10 starts here, and he's always pitched very well. His ERA at Dodger Stadium is 2.7. Now the right-hander comes back, and a fastball is hit in the gap to right center field, but on the move is Trot Nixon and makes the catch in a trot. 1 away. For the Red Sox, behind Burkett, they shape up this way: Jose Offerman and Lou Merloni, Nomar Garciaparra and Shea Hillenbrand. In the outfield, Brian Daubach in left, Johnny Damon in center, Trot Nixon in right. For Offerman, he has been very valuable for the Red Sox, playing first base, second base, and shortstop as well. 1 out, bottom of the first inning, and Paul LaDuca checks in. So John Burkett checking his signs, a right-hander ready and deals, and LaDuca takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Burkett in tremendous shape, and LaDuca battling, and now with 1 out and the base is empty. He has emulated Greg Maddux, has John Burkett, a great deal as he runs a fastball off the plate. He throws a 2-seamer about 75% of the time, and he loves to mix in a cut fastball, a curveball, and a 4-seamer as well. The 1-1 pitch, and that's outside, ball 2, 2-1. Burkett last year, when he was with Atlanta, led the National League in pickoff throws to first base. So if that happens with the Dodgers, we'll be here a while as LaDuca swings, fouls it away, and the count 2-2. One other thing in John Burkett's background, and we learned that years ago when he first came up, he is an accomplished bowler. In fact, if you know anything about bowling, he has 5 career 300 games. He has competed in a lot of professional bowling events. Meanwhile, LaDuca hits a ground ball to Maloney. Lou is up with it and makes the play. So 2 down in the first inning. No score. And the batter coming up, Shawn Green. Shawn Green has been on fire since his 4-home-run game in Milwaukee. And it's amazing because the other man who had 4 home runs in a game this, Mike Cameron, has almost disappeared. After their 4 home run games, Green is hitting .341 and Cameron .174. Green has hit 12 home runs since the 4 home run game, while Cameron has hit only 2. And the pitch to Shawn, a strike. Green has 25 RBIs since that great day in Milwaukee. Cameron has 18. So Mike Cameron has stopped, and Green, meanwhile, has continued the torrid pace. This time he fouls a pitch back, and the count 0-2 to Shawn. Shawn Green and John Burkett, they have certainly faced each other a lot. Green hitting .367 against Burkett with 2 home runs. So John, big guy, 6'3", 215, working on Shawn Green. 0-2 the count. Burkett delivers, swung on and fouled back, 0-2. Burkett last year was 12-12 for Atlanta. And it would seem as if any pitcher who spends any time at all with Atlanta shows marked improvement. And certainly one thing he picked up was a chance to be around Greg Maddux. The pitch outside to Shawn, just off the plate, and the count 1-2. Well, we see a lot of folks still walking into the ballpark, lots of cars out there, and again we ask you please to exercise patience and good judgment. A lot of baseball left. We're just starting. The 1-2 pitch to Green is hammered to right, hooking down the line, foul. So Shawn Green pulled it too much, and the count remains 1-2. For Burkett, a dangerous pitch, a breaking ball down, and he was able to extend his arms, but he pulled it too much. Burkett rocks and ready in the 1-2 pitch, a changeup, and Green lunges for it, hits it to Merlone, and he's done. That was $1 million pitch that time by John Burkett. So the Dodgers go out in order, and at the end of an inning, no score. Don't forget the Dodgers Coca-Cola Family Pack. Family packs include 4 reserve level tickets, 4 Dodger dogs, 4 Cokes, and a parking pass for just $39. And the family pack is available at every Sunday and Wednesday home game all season long. You can take advantage of it this Sunday. For more information, call 323-224-1HIT today or check our website at Dodgers.com. Well, he is now blonde, John Burkett. He dyed his hair blonde. He and his son decided to go that route, and I guess maybe it makes him look a little younger, too. He did it about 2 weeks ago. He promised his son to dye his hair. He said, "You do it, I'll do it." And father and son did it. Meanwhile, Brian Daubach leading off, and the left-hand hitting left fielder takes ball 1, 1-0. Daubach hitting .258, 9 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Manny Ramirez is the guy they really miss, and until he's back, they are struggling a little bit offensively. The 1-0 pitch to Daubach is taken inside, ball 2. Ramirez hitting .372 with 9 home runs, 35 RBIs, broke a finger sliding headfirst against Seattle, and he's at Pawtucket doing rehab. Might not be back for a little while longer anyway. The 2-0 pitch on the way is fouled back. Big scare in Pawtucket the other night when Ramirez slid head first. No, he didn't hurt his finger, but he lost an earring. And they stopped the game, and they went through the dirt, and they couldn't find the earring. That was the big story at Pawtucket. 2-1 to count to Brian Daubach. Nomo into the windup, and Hideo Diaz drops a splitter in there for a strike, in the count 2-2. By the way, you know, Nomo has won his last 4, but really it's not so much that his pitching has changed. It's the run support that the Dodgers have been giving him. He's working 2-2 on Brian Daubach. Right-hander ready, and Nomo comes back to his hitter, and Daubach fouls it away. In his first 8 starts, Nomo was 2-5. The team got him 2.4 runs a game. In other words, less than 2.5. In his last 6 starts, he is 4-0, and the team is getting him about 6 runs a game. The big difference why he has won 4 straight. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Hideo into the windup. Back he comes to Daubach, and that's lifted back a third down the line. Beltre going after it, but Jordan has an easier play, and Brian makes the catch in foul ground. So one Brian hits it to the other, 1 away in the second inning, and the batter now will be Shea Hillenbrand. Shea Hillenbrand broke out of a terrible slump the other night against San Diego. He was 6 for 40. That translates to a 150 batting average. He hit a 3-run home run against Brian Lawrence, and that gave the Red Sox a 4-2 win. So Hillenbrand at the plate right now hitting .306. He has 11 home runs, 47 runs batted in, and Nomo works a strike in the count 0-1. Over in Arizona, Raul Mondesi got a base hit to score. Eric Hinsky had made it 1-0 Toronto. Luis Gonzalez singled in Quentin McCracken. That makes it a tied up game 1-1. The strike one pitch off the plate. Uribe Durazo promptly doubled in Luis Gonzalez. So the D-backs in the first inning lead the Jays 2-1. 1 ball and 1 strike the count to Shea Hillenbrand, batting .306. Nomo ready and delivers, and that's a soft line drive into right field for a base hit. So Hillenbrand just hits it inside out, and a 1-out single to right will bring up Trot Nixon. So hit number 1 in the ball game. Trot Nixon, 6 hits in his last 13 at bats, and a .300 hitter on the road. A left-hand batter hasn't had much luck as far as the green monster in left field is concerned, hitting .170 at Fenway. Trot Nixon recently had a 4-game suspension, and then in his first at bat following the suspension, he hit a home run. Nomo ready and delivers, and Trot takes a strike, and the count 0-1. So Nixon at the plate, trying to extend the inning against a former Sox, Hideo Nomo. Shea Hillenbrand bidding for his first All-Star appearance over there at first base. And the strike one pitch on the way to Nixon is hit foul off third and out of play. Trot is not a nickname, but what it is an abbreviation for his middle name. It's not the way he runs or anything. His full name is Christopher Trotman Nixon. His father is a North Carolina physician who watches his son's career very, very carefully. They talk all the time, and his dad is always giving him advice. The strike two pitch on the way to Trot Nixon. Instead, Nomo off the rubber. His father was at Turner Field when Nixon hit a big home run to beat the Braves. That had to be a thrill for father and son. The strike two pitch on the way. Nomo delivers high. 1-2 the count. So Hideo Nomo trying to hold the Sox, who are phenomenal on the road with their 28-9 record. That brings back memories of how well Seattle played last year. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count to Trot Nixon. Now Nomo back. There's a check swing ground ball to Beltry. He'll have to go to first base in time for the out. On the play, Hillenbrand and moves on to second base. One thing we should say for the record too, you talk about the Boston Red Sox coming to Dodger Stadium for the first time. Actually, they're coming to play the Dodgers for the first time. The last time, or the very first game they played at Dodger Stadium, you'd have to go back to September of 1965. They played the Angels here when they were known as the Los Angeles Angels in a doubleheader, and the Sox never had much trouble in those days. But here they are now, leading the league, and the Giant, the New York Yankees, by a game and a half. Doug Mirabelli, formerly with the Giants, takes low and inside, ball 1. So you have, in a sense, an ex-San Francisco battery. Mirabelli behind the plate, handling John Burkett. 1-0 the count to the big catcher, hitting .258, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Shea Hillenbrand at second with 2 out. Nomo checks him, comes back to Mirabelli, and there's a one-hopper right at Grassolonic to get him, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. Sunday, the Dodgers host the Red Sox, and it'll be autograph day for all youngsters 14 and under in attendance. The Dodger players will be signing autographs for kids 14 and under in lot 32 starting at 10:30 a.m. Oh, you can see moms and sons, fathers and daughters, lots of families out here tonight. We're happy to report, and we go to the bottom of the second, no score. Eric Karras coming up. Karras has collected more hits for his team than all but 4 other National Leaguers as he takes a breaking ball off the plate. Craig Biggio over 2,200 hits for Houston. Barry Larkin over 2,100 hits for Cincinnati. Pitch in for a strike. Then you have Jeff Bagwell with over 1,800. Sammy Sosa with over 1,600. And then you get to Eric Karras. And he looks at a pitch off the plate and the count 2-1. Eric has piled up 78 hits this year, batting .315. Burkett rocks and ready. Big right-hander over the top, and that's on the outside corner, and the count 2-2. Dana DeMuth is the plate umpire, with Kerwin Danley, Marvin Hudson, and Charlie Relaford in that order. DeMuth, a very experienced umpire, the crew chief. He's umpired 3 World Series. The 2-2 pitch just off the plate. Dana DeMuth umpired in the 93, 98, and last year's World Series. Now the 3-2 pitch coming up to Eric Karras. Burkett ready now and time call. Karras tired of waiting and backed out. Burkett stands on the rubber almost like a bowler looking down the alley. It certainly makes you think that way. Now the 3-2 pitch is on the inside corner as Karras was going to first base, and down he goes. Big pitch made by John Burkett, who's accustomed to throwing strikes. 1 away. And that'll bring up Brian Jordan. By the way, in case you wonder about it, Detroit at Florida, and the Florida second baseman Louis Castillo singled in the bottom of the 3rd inning to extend his hitting streak to 35 games. Meanwhile, Brian Jordan hitting .284, 11 home runs, and the first pitch a little flare pop fly, and Opperman makes that catch inside the foul line. So Jordan, who loves to swing at the first pitch, pops it up, and with 2 down, the batter will be Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre sat down one night and then returned to the wars last night and had a key base hit to drive in a run in a very tough 2-1 game. No score, bottom of the 2nd inning. Beltre climbs in. Burkett ready in the 6-3 right-hander delivers a strike, and the count 0-1. Dodgers trying to win yet another series. They've won 7 straight. The pitch to Beltre, another strike, and the count 0-2. Dodgers have also won 9 of the last 10 series. Kazashi making some vital contributions along with everybody else, and Nomo trying to keep it going tonight. The pitch down and away, ball 1, 1-2. For the year, the Dodgers are 16-7, and of course Odalis Perez, a big contributor last night, winning a tough ball game 2-1. The pitch to Beltre in the dirt, and the count 2-2. Game 1 of the 3-game series. Derek Lowe leading the American League in ERA 1.8. He'll go up against Omar Dahl tomorrow at 12:20. And then on Sunday, Rolando Araujo against Andy Ashby. And of course, Nomar Garciaparra center stage in all 3 games. The 2-2 pitch down and away, ball 3. So Burkett went to a full count and struck out Karras, and John comes right back 3-2 on Beltre. His 3-2 pitch on the way is whacked to left field. Back goes left fielder Dahlbach. It is gone. Home run for Adrian Beltre, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead on Adrian's 7th home run of the year. By the way, for John Burkett, that would be the 11th home run that he has allowed. That is the most on the Red Sox stat. So Beltre really jumped on that 3-2 pitch. A 2-out home run to give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. Fastball right out over the plate, and he gave it a ride. The Dodgers continue to hit home runs. They've hit 51 home runs in the last 31 games. Burkett ready and delivers a pitch to Mark Grassolonic that's in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Beltre hits it out and gives the Dodgers an edge. 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the second inning. Burkett comes back 0-1, and that's outside, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. Grassolonic takes a strike. For Beltre, his last home run was June the 4th. So he went a little over 2 weeks and finally drills one. Burkett checking. Now his 1-2 pitch on the air. That's hit foul off to the right upstairs. Last year, Burkett allowed 17 home runs, 9 to left-hand hitters and 8 to right-hand batters. And he has now given up 11 this year. So Beltre talking to Omar Dahl, Cesar Izturis, and the pitch of the plate swung on and missed, and Grassolonic goes down. Well, the Dodgers get one on the home run by Beltre, and at the end of 2, as Beltre's light up, so does the scoreboard, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. Dodger Baseball is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, by your local Lexus dealer, by SBC, and by your Southern California BMW Center. We're going to the 3rd inning. Adrian Beltre has given the Dodgers a 1-0 lead as he hits his 7th home run of the year. And now the Red Sox will have Lou Merloni, John Burkett, and Johnny Damon. The Red Sox had to play second baseman Ray Sanchez on the DL with a strained right hamstring. So they had to give the job to Lou Merloni, and from a utility infielder, he's been starting all of the games in Sanchez's absence and doing very well at second base. Nomo into the windup and delivers and misses low, ball 1. Maloney leading off after Burkett, then Damon. If anybody gets aboard, Jose Offerman. Meanwhile, John Burkett still talking, no doubt, about that home run that got away. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Ball 2, 2-0. Maloney batting .289. He has a home run and 6 runs batted in. And now Nomo behind 3-0. As we mentioned going in, Nomo has been fighting his control just about every time out there. 3-0 to Lou Merloni. And ball 4. So the pride of Framingham, Massachusetts, Lou Merloni goes to first base. You know, in a recent game in Boston, the actor Ben Affleck was up in the broadcasting booth, and for whatever reason, Ben Affleck, I didn't know he was such a baseball expert, he was all over Merloni. Well, People magazine did a very clever thing. You know, Affleck has a new movie out, Tom Clancy, the Sum of All Fears. Who do you think People magazine hired as the critic for Ben Affleck's Sum of All Fears? Yeah, Lou Merloni. Good for them. Good for Lou. 0-1 the count to John Burkett. Burkett having spent plenty of time in the National League, and especially even last year, so he's accustomed to swinging the bat a little bit. 0-1 the count to John. Beltre ready to charge the plate. He's already well in at third. Karras holding a corner on Merlone. It's 1-0 Dodgers, top of the third. And the bunt nicely placed to Karras. Very well done. Beltre was ready to go right up against him, and Burkett just made Karras handle the bunt. Nice play.
Center fielder number 18.
So Merlone is now the tying run at second base with 1 out, and Johnny Damon coming up. Burkett gets 5s in the dugout. Damon 0 for 1 tonight. Nomo a look back at Merlone. A pick-off bluff. No throw by LaDuca, but Cora was going to the bag. We'll watch Merlone as he turns to go back. And just as he starts to come back, you can see his spikes caught, and he hurt himself a little bit. The 1-0 pitch pulled on the ground to Karras. He gives it to Nomo, with Merlone taking third. So 2 out, and Jose Offerman coming up. With a runner at third, as we always do, we check wild pitches, and Nomo has committed 4. So LaDuca with a lot of pressure to make sure that one of those splitters doesn't get away. And here is Jose. That's a strike. 0-1. Jose is married, has 2 children, and still has kept his home here in the Los Angeles area. No balls, 1 strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. With 2 down, Merlone at third inning, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. Offerman in his 11th year in the big league. Boy, the time really flies. Ball 2, 2-1. He was signed originally as a non-drafted free agent back in 1986. Came up to the Dodgers in 1990 and left after the 95 season. So Merlone at third, 2 down, the infield back. That's in there, 2-2. Nomo trying to get out of the little inning with a runner at third and 2 down, trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Just foul back, and LaDuca got a little bit of that, as if he needs yet another bruise, another foul tip. Boy, the price you pay behind the plate. So Peel, he really got bitten, but goes right on back to work. 2-2 to Jose Offerman. Ball 3. After Offerman comes the number 1 hitter, Nomar Garciaparra. 3-2. Foul back. Remember earlier we were recounting the batting average of Garciaparra. As it keeps going up, the tougher the situation. And should Offerman extend the inning, the situation will be very critical. 3-2. And he has extended the inning. So again, just to repeat that one category with runners in scoring position and 2 out. Nomar Garciaparra is batting .457. So you talk about Nomo trying to do it the hard way. It is also the wrong way. So Merloni is at third. Offerman is at first with 2 out. Garciaparra struck out in the first inning. But the bases were empty. Ball 1. I think most people who follow baseball know, but in case you don't know, that name Nomar is Ramon backwards. That's his father's name, but his father did not believe in Junior, so it's Nomar. Ball 2. So Hideo Nomo struggling with his control, and it has been that way since his first game coming back with the Dodgers. So it's a struggle now. 2-0 to Garciaparra. Doing that tap dance in the hitter's box. That's a strike. 2-1. Garciaparra went to St. John Bosco High School and then went on to Georgia Tech. A teammate at Georgia Tech is a teammate with the Boston Red Sox. That would be catcher Jason Varitek. This inning, Nomo now is going to make his 20th pitch, and the count 2-1. Dodgers 1, Red Sox nothing on a home run by Adrian Beltre, but now with 2 walks, Nomo in a little trouble. Maybe a lot of trouble with Garciaparra. 2 balls, 1 strike. Now back 2-2. Garciaparra has had back-to-back batting championships. Show you just how good he is. The marvelous hitter. The one big difference, if you read Ted Williams' book on hitting and then look at Garciaparra, they are totally different. Garciaparra is a first ball hitter a great deal. Williams the other way around. In fact, Williams in his book said that he took the first pitch 95% of the time, where Garciaparra swings at the first pitch. I believe it's 53% of the time. Big difference. But the payoff is the average. And who's going to argue with a guy who hit over 370 one year? 372. And to win the year before with 357. There goes Offerman on ball 3. So Nomo now with runners at second and third, and the cleanup hitter on deck. And for Hideo, a familiar struggle. Yeah, Garciaparra is up there now with the big guys. Boy, when you get your name mentioned with Ted Williams and Tris Speaker, along with Dale Alexander 70 years ago, you've really accomplished something. 3-2, first base open. 2 out. And he walked him. So standing room only as Nomo has walked 3. And with 2 out, Brian Daubach coming up.
Last order, number 23,
Brian Daubach had an 8-game hitting streak and then cooled off to hit only 174. And a note about Brian hitting 2 home runs in Nomo's no-hitter against Baltimore last year. So the bases are loaded with 2 out. Daubach has 1 grand slam. He hit it against Florida. A broken bat, foul ball, and a good chunk of the bat is at the feet of Grassolonic. 0-1 the count. This bat is just disintegrating on the pitch. There it goes. Daubach, big and strong. He's 6'1" and about 235. Originally signed by the New York Mets. bases loaded. He has Merlone at third. He has Offerman at second. Garcia Parra at first with 2 out. 0-1 the count to Dahlbach. 1-1. 1 strikeout for Nomo and 3 walks. And the pitches are piling up, much to the distress of Messrs. Tracy, Riggleman, and Colburn. Dodgers lead 1-0, but it's certainly in jeopardy. 1-1 the count to Dahlbach. One and another broken bat, a foul ball off the glove on a great effort by Adrian Beltre, and the count 1-2. Well, you heard of the splendid splinter. I'll tell you, Brian Dahlbach has been swinging a splendid splinter, and for Beltre, almost caught it. With the slow-mo, you could see that in diving head first, the ball actually went off his wrist, and the bat comes apart yet again. Obviously defective equipment, Brian. 1-2 the count. So now Paul LaDuca goes out to talk to Hideo Nomo. 2 bats later, Dahlbach up there, and the count 1-2. Dahlbach, the first Sox player to hit 20 or more home runs in his first 3 major league seasons since Garcia Parra, and only the 5th Sox player in club history. Well, the base is jammed. Merlone at third, Offerman at second, Garcia Parra at first. 2 out, top of the third, 1-0 Dodgers. Fouled away. Dahlbach, as he stands in at the plate, has struck out 57 times. Fouled out in the second inning to Brian Jordan. So Nomo making a lot of pitches. He is laboring now in this 1 inning alone. He's made 26 pitches, and he still hasn't taken care of Dahlbach. 1-2 time. Dodgers leading, in case you just joined us, on a home run by Adrian Beltre, but Nomo has walked 3 to load him up with 2 out. 1-2 to Brian Dahlbach. Got him. Boy, what humiliation for the moment for Dahlbach. Nomo breaks his bat twice and then strikes him out with the bases loaded. And at the end of 2.5 innings, 1-0 Dodgers. 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. And talking about how to protect the lead, Hideo Nomo breaks Brian Dahlbach's bat twice and then rubs salt into the wounds and strikes him out. So the Dodgers still holding on to a 1-0 lead. And in the 3rd inning, it'll be Cora, Nomo, and Roberts. By the way, that was a milestone, that strikeout of Dahlbach. Not that it'll make Brian feel any better, but it was 1,500 strikeouts in Nomo's career, so Brian has a lot of company. 0-2 the count to Alex Cora. Meanwhile, Hideo Nomo putting on his batting gloves, but he's still thinking about his move and his release point. And the pitch to Cora, 1-2. Tony Batista just had a scoring fly ball to pick up Melvin Mora, and Baltimore takes a 1-0 lead over the Giants in the 1st inning as Cora strikes out. And for John Burkett, his 3rd strikeout. And now Hideo Nomo. Nomo, no doubt, spends a lot more time wondering and worrying about his delivery and his release point than hitting. He's at 21 at-bats, actually a total of 24 plate appearances, 0 for those 21, and he has struck out about half the time. 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes. 37-year-old John Burkett. Little tapper. John has it. That'll be that. 2 down in the 3rd inning, and Paul LaDuca will take his time. He follows Dave Roberts, and both men very slow and moving around to let Nomo get back. John Burkett, among other things, has always been a student of videotape. He picked up some help, mostly mechanical, from Braves pitching coach Leo Mazzoni, as well as some strategic tips from Greg Maddux. And it has really fit. He won 7 straight, then lost 2. Now trying to pick up and win his 8th. Here's Dave Roberts. Ball 1. There's a split bat as opposed to the broken bat that wound up at the feet of Mark Rassilonic. All part of the Brian Daubach collection. 1-1. One thing about Burkett, when he was with Texas, he was eminently hittable. He used a slider an awful lot, and it was subpar. Ball 2, 2-1. When he was leaving Texas, he began to experiment with a slow curve and the cut fastball, but he still wasn't getting the results he wanted. And then he went to Atlanta, and he had some time to be with Greg Maddux and look at some tape. And he dropped the slider from the menu, and he has become once again a very successful pitcher. 2-1. Line down the right field line, foul. 2-2 the count. In looking at Burkett's career, he won as many as 22 for the San Francisco Giants back in 1993. That's been his best year. 3-2 to Roberts. Dave fly to right, hit back to the box, 0 for 2. Paul LaDuca on deck. And a ground ball up the middle, base hit. So Roberts is aboard. And remember, Dave has stolen 17 out of 21. Be sure to stay tuned after the game. We'll present the Southern California Sports Report. We'll have the Dodger post-game report and a lot more. And on radio, stay tuned for the post-game show. It'll all be coming up after the game. Paul LaDuca with Roberts aboard. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Roberts trying to study Burkett. That's a strike. Dave might have had a look or two at Burkett when they were both in the American League. Dave up and down with Cleveland, and LaDuca checking in the number 2 slot. That, of course, is what Jim Tracy wants him to do. Take a couple of pitches, see if Roberts can get a jump. Dodgers lead 1-0, bottom of the 3rd, 2 out. If Roberts can go, whether they get him or not, it's still a very good gamble in the sense that they get him to end the inning. Okay, you lead off the next inning with LaDuca followed by Green. If he makes it, you're in position for a run. So let's see if they turn him loose. 1-1. Well, Burkett, remember we mentioned when he was in the National League, he led the league in pickoff throws to first. Well, he's still at it. Can't blame him. One ball and one strike to Paul LaDuca. Dodgers had Adrian Beltre hit a home run in the second inning, and that's it. Same old Burkett, that's for sure. There goes Roberts. The curve is low and the throw is late. So Dave Roberts got a very good pitch to steal on, a slow curveball down and away. Not much of a chance for Mirabelli to get him. And for Roberts, head down, a straight steal, and he beats it. So he's now stolen 18 out of 22. So now with 2 out, LaDuca has done his job as far as getting into the count, letting Roberts steal. Now he has the extra obligation of trying to pick him up. 2-1. Right, 2-2. That two-seamer, technically speaking, is a sinker. The four-seamer has the tendency to rise to be that so-called high hard one. 2-2 to LaDuca. Fouled away. Nice location. LaDuca had to go down and get it with 2 strikes. Oh, Paulie is still there. Came into the game hitting .314, and he's been very big with men in scoring position. How about .391? That's not exactly .457 for Garciaparra, but it'll certainly do. 2-2. And a fly ball to center. Right there is Johnny Damon, and that'll be that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 3, Dodgers 1, Red Sox nothing. Flag trivia question for tonight. Who are the only 3 Red Sox players ever to have hit streaks of 30 or more games? Do you have any idea? Well, we'll give you the answer in a little while. Ah, yes. Dates at the ballpark, and we go to the 4th. 1-0 Dodgers. Hideo Nomo made 27 pitches in the 3rd inning, so we'll see what kind of an effect that has on him. He's made 51 pitches in 3 innings. Shea Hillenbrand. Ball 1. 1-0. We mentioned before Hillenbrand battling to be an all-star, and he leads All-American League third baseman in batting average and in fan voting. 1-0. Hammers it down the left field line in the corner. Fair ball. Jordan plays the carom. Hillenbrand digging for 2. He is in there. So Shea Hillenbrand rips a double. He's 2 for 2 tonight. He's out in front of all the other third basemen. Joe Randa, Perry Herbert, Eric Hinsky, and Eric Chavez. He's the only one hitting well over 300. So again, Nomo in some trouble. A leadoff double. And Trot Nixon coming up. Trot Nixon, we mentioned earlier, was given a 4-game suspension. That was for flinging a bat at an opposing pitcher, and since that time he has been in a slump. Ball 1. After the suspension, he's come back to hit 151. He grounded out tonight, so he's hitting less than that. And he admits that he's been pressing, and so he's trying to hit the ball up the middle. 1 ball and no strikes to Trot Nixon. 1-0 Dodgers, 4th inning. Ball 2 on deck. Doug Mirabelli. The previous pitch, watch LaDuca. Very high, and he wasn't sure what to do with that pitch. Hold everything. Let me have a talk with you. We are not on the same page. 2-0 the count. 2-1. What Jim Tracy basically looks for from his starting pitcher is 19 to 20 outs. In other words, get me into the 7th inning. It will be a struggle for Nomo to do that. 2-1. Ball 3. Tadeo has walked 3. He has struck out 2, and he has also allowed 2 hits. So outside of the first inning, when he only made 9 pitches, he's been pitching out of the stretch quite a bit. 3-1. And that's ball 4. So he's in the soup again. And the count is 58 pitches as Doug Mirabelli coming up. Mirabelli grounded out, hit the ball hard, but right at Mark Rassilonic. Dodgers suspicious of a bunt. Karras and Beltre come up. But instead, Mirabelli doesn't tip it, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Brady Little, the 43rd manager in the history of the Boston Red Sox. One and all the count to Doug. Hillenbrand at second, Nixon at first, nobody out. And that's going to go foul, but boy, he hit it a long way. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Second level way down, but at the same time it was foul by plenty. Take a look at the location of the pitch. Dangerous. It was up and in, and he really turned on it. Mirabelli has 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. In his career in the big leagues, he had 9 home runs for Boston last year. 1-1. Ball 2. Problem for Mirabelli all throughout his career. He's been on the DL so many times. Been on the DL 7 times. He's had back surgery. Right wrist put him on twice. Strained ligaments, strained rib cage, lumbar spine strained twice. I mean, he's really paid the price. 2-1 to Doug. Every now and then Nomo will throw that splitter, and it will harken back to his first year with the Dodgers. 1,500 strikeouts ago. Nobody out. Hillenbrand at second, Nixon at first. Two balls and 2 strikes to a 3-time All-American at Wichita State University, Doug Mirabelli. And a pop fly to shallow center. Roberts is there. Runners with nowhere to go. So a little fly ball, 1 away. And the batter now will be Lou Merloni. And look at there. Ricky Henderson got all banged up running into a wall at Yankee Stadium and was out for about 14 days. Ricky Henderson hitting .245, and he's been in 31 games so far. Amazing man, isn't he? Stopping here wearing a Red Sox uniform on the way to the Hall of Fame. Now Lou Merloni, who walked in the third inning and got as far as third base. One out. That's a strike. A lot of movement on that pitch. 1-0 Dodgers on a second inning home run by Adrian Beltre. After Merloni comes the pitcher John Burkett. One and one to count. Merloni, as we mentioned earlier, playing for the injured Ray Sanchez. When Sanchez first came out of the lineup, they didn't think it was very serious, but it was a strained right hamstring, worse than they originally thought by far, and he's on the DL. 1-1 to Lou. Ball two. A nice block by LaDuca. 2-1. Merloni checking with Mike Cubbage, coaching at third. Runners at first and second. Shea Hillenbrand at second. Trot Nixon at first. 2-1 to Lou Merloni. Whoa. LaDuca makes a nice save and then gestures to Nomo. Easy. That was heading for the backstop. Just got away. So 3-1 to count to Lou Merloni. So Nomo continues to fight his control. The lack of the ability to throw strikes really hurting him. And the 3-1 pitch. That's a strike. 3-2. When Nomo was with Boston last year, he led the American League in strikeouts. He had 220 in almost 200 innings. 3-2. Let's see what the runners do with one out. You have the pitcher due up next. The runners hold, and is a little slow roller. They will get a force, and that's all. Rasselonic tied up by Nixon, couldn't get a throw off. So Hillenbrand advances to third. Merloni is safely aboard at first, and the batter John Burkett. Ball not hit hard to get two. They got one, and then, as you can see, Rasselonic had some trouble, and that was it. As he juggled the ball, couldn't get it off. So two out, first and third. And the batter John Burkett. Nomo certainly doing a high wire act in the first 4 innings. 0-1 to John Burkett. Burkett has only had 2 at-bats coming into this game. Meanwhile, Nomo at the 70 pitch mark. So this will be his 20th pitch this inning. Fouled back. 0-2. In the modern day, even though the starting pitchers, you have a 5-man rotation, the pitch count today is so much more important than in the old days. They never bothered. They just watched and see and saw when your stuff started leaving. That'll do it for Burkett. So Nomo has made it across from one side of the ravine to the other. leaving 2 more. The Red Sox have left 6, and it's still 1-0 Dodgers. Remember our Aflac trivia question? Who are the only 3 Red Sox players ever to have hit streaks of 30 or more games? Well, the answer, Dom DiMaggio, Tris Speaker, and Nomar Garciaparra. And that reminds us to repeat an item we gave you earlier in case you missed it. The Florida second baseman, Luis Castillo, had a base hit in the 3rd inning, so he has now hit safely in 35 straight. Isn't she something, huh? As we go to the 4th, 1-0 Dodgers. Green, Karras, and Jordan. Fouled away. Upstairs off third. 0-1. Sean grounded out. Got some good-natured kidding and really spent a good portion of last night and today shaking his head. A mental gaffe last night. Catching a ball, making a good play on a twisting fly ball to right field, but he forgot. It was only the 2nd out, and Mondesi tagged up and scored from second base. High fly ball, it's playable. Rick Auerbach is there. Brian waits and puts it away. So Green, a fly ball to Brian Daubach, 1 away, and Eric Karras coming up. 1-0 Dodgers. The home run by Adrian Beltre. Remember, the Dodgers have been very successful in 1-run games at home. Dodgers are 7-1 in 1-run games at home. The only loss was the other night when they lost to Roy Halladay 2-1. Slow curveball for a strike. 0-1. That's hit late. 0-2. One out, 4th inning. Dodgers leading 1-0. Brian Jordan on deck. And got him looking. Started him slow curve. Then he was late getting on a fastball and then caught looking at a fastball. So Karras out slicked by John Burkett, and that's the 2nd time that Burkett has nailed him. For John, that would be his 4th strikeout. And with 2 down, the batter is Brian Jordan. That's ball 1. John Burkett has struck out as many as 11 in the game. Most recently last year. In 7 innings, he struck out 11 against Montreal. Very capable right-hander. 2 balls and no strikes. Ball 3. Now, in this kind of a game, they might very well green light Jordan and leave it up to him as far as whether it's a pitch he can drive. Little cutter on the outside corner. 3-1. Jordan has only walked 19 times. Very aggressive hitter and goes after the first pitch a lot. 3-1. We mentioned the book that Ted Williams wrote about the art of hitting. Fouled away. And the Red Sox did a very smart thing, I think. They had it all, I don't know how many copies of it, and they passed it out to all their young players. And one of the things that Williams said about laying off the first pitch opposite of Garciaparra was it gave you much more of an idea of what the pitcher had, what kind of rhythm he had, etc. And it certainly paid off his head. So Jordan rolls out. The Dodgers are gone in order. And at the end of 4, it's quite a contrast. Burkett is pitching much better than Nomo, but Nomo is leading. Here's the remainder of the Dodger homestand. The Sox are here tomorrow afternoon. That'll be on the Fox Network. Sunday on UPN 13. And remember the Dodger Dugout show at 12:30. Then we're back in the National League with Colorado here for 4 games. Monday night on UPN 13. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights on Fox Sports Net 2. Every Dodger game on AM 1150 with Ross Porter and Rick Monday. 13:30 a.m. KWKW with Jaime Jarrín and Pepe Iniguez. Well, let's see about Nomo now in the 5th inning. Ball 1. Been a struggle with Damon, Offerman, and Garcia Parra coming up. Johnny Damon flied to center, grounded out 0 for 2. That's a strike. Last 2 innings have been very tough on Nomo. Made 27 pitches in the 3rd inning and 21 pitches last inning. 1-1. A drive to right. Green, however, fading back to haul it in. 1 away.
First baseman, number 30, Jose.
So 1 out, and Jose Offerman coming up. Jose grounded out and walked. On deck, Garcia Parra. One nothing Dodgers. Home run by Adrian Beltre in the 2nd inning. And a drag bunt on the chalk, and it's staying fair. Base hit for Offerman. The perfectly placed drag bunt by Jose.
Shortstop
With 1 out, and now Garcia Parra coming up.
Garcia Parra.
He just dropped it nicely. There wasn't a thing that Nomo could do, but let it roll, and it stayed fair. So a good play by Offerman, and the batter now Garcia Parra, who struck out and walked. He's got dancing feet, hasn't he? All right, there we go. Hard ground ball to Beltre on his knees. He goes to Grassolonic, to Karras, not in time. Boy, that ball was drilled, and Beltre did so well to stay with it. So Garcia Parra winds up hitting into a force play.
Left fielder, number 23.
And on that right knee,
Brian Daubach.
able to get the force. So Offerman is erased 5-4. Garcia Parra with an extra burst of speed keeps the game and the inning alive. And the batter is Brian Daubach. Daubach, a milestone at bat for Nomo. Came up with the bases loaded in the 3rd inning. Broke his bat twice. Now you can see he's gone to a completely different model. He became 1,500th strikeout. There goes Garcia Parra, but the throw got him. Perfect throw by LaDuca, handled by Cora. So Garcia Parra tries to steal, and he is not a base stealer. He is 2 for 4. Break even won't get it done. And at the end of 4 1/2, 1-0 Dodgers. 6:10 game Thursday. It's a Think Red, White, and Blue week. Bring the whole family. Watch a spectacular post-game fireworks show from down on the field, brought to you by Mervyn's. And here we go, bottom of the 5th. strike to Beltre, who homered in the second inning. You know, that attempted steal by Garciaparra turned out to be a great break for Nomo. If ever a man needed an easy inning where he could cut down his number of pitches, it was Nomo. And in the fifth inning, with Garciaparra being thrown out, Nomo made only 6 pitches after making 48 pitches in the previous 2 innings. So that was a big play. Slow curveball. Beltre is getting to be a drum major with that bat. I mean, he is forever flipping it. Watch this. Big rip. Up you go. And a fly ball to right field, slicing towards Trot Nixon. Run away. Meanwhile, Paul LaDuca and Sean Green, they hit back to back. And I know that Sean Green is talking. I think I read it. I think he was talking about Burkett. I know he said when he holds his hands here, changeup. When he holds it up here, fastball. Well, it won't mean anything, I don't believe, with the bases empty, but let's just see. It's up there. Fastball. Well, maybe we better keep an eye on that. I think I read Green. Another fastball. So I think that's what he was saying. When the hands are up higher, it's a fastball, and when he drops them down before he delivers, a changeup. He doesn't throw that many changes, but that's what they talk about in the dugout. 1-1. Off speed. Now that looked like a changeup, but I don't think his hands were lower. 2-1. There's a shot right on by third baseman Hillenbrand. Over to get it is Dahlbach. So Grassolonic blisters one, and the Dodgers now will have Alex Cora coming up. For the Dodgers, their third hit.
Shortstop number 13, Alex Cora.
Hillenbrand trying to short hop it, but it just exploded and went on by. Dodgers lead 1-0 in the fifth. Cora with Nomo to follow. There goes the runner on a little flare into shallow center, and it's going to drop. Grassolonic was starting to go back to first, so all he could do was stay on the bag. And a very angry Lou Merlone, and see whether he might have hurt himself too. Johnny Damon over to check him out, but I guess he's just frustrated. Lou trying to make a desperate catch, couldn't do it. Grassolonic didn't quite know what to do. He was at second and then started back, and then when the ball went out of the glove, Dodgers have runners at first and second. That's going to go as a base hit. Grassolonic just lost sight of the ball, starts to go back to first and then to the second base. So first and second and 1 out. The one thing Nomo has done this year is sacrifice. He has 3. Not that time. 0-1. Checking to see with Glenn Hoffman as to whether the bunt is on or not. Grassolonic at second, Cora at first. This is a big at bat. On deck, Dave Roberts. And he fouled that one off. 0-2. The best bunter on the Dodger pitching staff would be Odalis Perez. Hoffman, who broke in with the Boston Red Sox. See if the bunt is still on. Probably. 0-2. And he got it down. And the only play for Mirabelli is at first base. So Nomo succeeds. That is his 4th sacrifice. Grassolonic is now at third, Cora at second, and with 2 out, the batter will be Dave Roberts. So Nomo will get some 5s when he gets back into the dugout. And now Dave Roberts coming up. Ichi ni san shi go. Go is 5. So second and third and 2 out. Hillenbrand is playing Roberts on the grass, defending against a bunt with 2 out. That's a strike. 0-1. Roberts singled in the 3rd inning, stole second, but stayed there. So 1 for 2. Toronto did a very good job of shutting him down. 0-1. 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th, trying to add to the lead. 1-1. Arizona leading the Blue Jays 2-1. They're in the top of the 6th inning. Dodgers 1 game back of the D-backs. That's fouled away. 1-2. The way the outfield sets up with Roberts, Nixon is deep in straightaway right. Damon shortened up and slightly towards left center. 1-2 to Dave Roberts. Beginning of what should be a very exciting series. Omar Dahl and Derek Lowe tomorrow in game 2. Rolando Araujo and Andy Ashby on Sunday. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fly ball to left field. Shallow was dialed back, and it's over his head. So the way they deployed the outfield has hurt him. It's a double for Roberts, and the Dodgers lead 3-0. So they didn't realize that Roberts can hit the ball that far. So they split the outfield, and the only outfielder really deep was Nixon in right. And Roberts hits it over Dahlbach's head for a double, and 2 runs batted in. And now the batter is Paul LaDuca. So a big hit for Dave Roberts. He has a half a dozen doubles. Paulie 0 for 2, grounded out, fly to center. Ball 1. Three runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for the Red Sox. So Nomo, leading 1-0, now has a little bit of a cushion. 1-0. Ball 2. No one throwing in the Red Sox bullpen. In the inning, Grassolonic, a hard ground ball by Hillenbrand for a base hit. Cora, the bloop single, then the sacrifice, and then the double. 2-0. Ball 3, and of course on deck, Sean Green. Interesting. Remember, I was guessing about Green helping LaDuca read Burkett. Well, the count's 3-0. That's a strike. 3-1. Three balls, 1 strike. And that's going to be a shot to the right side, but right at Lou Maloney. And that's the inning. But not before the Dodgers get two, thanks to Dave Roberts, and lead 3-0. Today in 1939 was the beginning of one of the sad stories in all of baseball. The New York Yankees announced that Lou Gehrig had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, that he was going to retire and remain with the team as the captain.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
And, of course, we have lived with that moment ever since 1939. ALS, now known as the Lou Gehrig disease. Sixth inning with the Dodgers leading the Red Sox 3-0. And it'll be Brian Daubach, then Shea Hillenbrand, and Trot Nixon. Daubach fouled out and struck out. Now remember, Nomo was coming off his easiest inning. He made only 6 pitches in the 5th inning. Daubach, Hillenbrand, Nixon, if anybody gets on Mirabelli. One and 0. That's a strike. Show you what has happened, and probably a great deal of it has to do with Manny Ramirez not in the lineup. The Red Sox in the American League against right-hand pitching hitting .293, but against the National League they're hitting only .230. That's a high strike. 1-2. Daubach, Hillenbrand, and Nixon. And for Nomo in his 6th inning, I think Daubach a little annoyed with that high strike call by Dana Demuth. One and 2. Down he goes. So Daubach has had one of those nights. And Brian is a bread and butter guy for the Red Sox. 9 home runs, 31 RBIs. But Nomo has nailed him twice. And Shea Hillenbrand coming up. Hillenbrand single to right and double to left. Ball 1. Meanwhile, John Burkett still trying to figure out what happened to him in the 5th inning. A bloop single, and then the big double by Dave Roberts. And that's a high drive into right center field indeed. Roberts watching that baby, and it's going to go out of here. Home run for Shea Hillenbrand. Boy, is he putting on a show. He has a single, a double, and a home run. And the Dodger lead is 3-1 for Hillenbrand, his 12th home run of the year. So he doesn't need the green monster. I mean, he took Nomo downtown with that blast. Take another look at the location right out over the outside part of the plate, and Hillenbrand shows why they are so high on him. He's the #1 hitter as a third baseman in the American League. Now the batter, Trot Nixon. And that's a strike. For Nomo, that would be the 9th home run that he's allowed. Dodgers 3, Red Sox 1 in the 6th, 1 out. They have been moving Nixon around in the lineup. They even had him hitting second as Hillenbrand cools off in the dugout. The reason that Little decided to put Nixon hitting second was they figured he'd see more fastballs hitting behind Damon. Fly ball to left. It's coming to Jordan. So 2 down. So Grady Little trying everything to get Nixon started, but it hadn't worked. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Dodgers may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express consent of the Dodgers. So with 2 out, Doug Mirabelli grounded out in the 2nd inning, flied to center in the 4th. Ball 1. Nomo retired the side in order in the 1st inning on 9 pitches. He then labored in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, had a very easy 5th inning. 1-1. And it looked like Mirabelli was guessing fastball. He was way out in front of that off-speed pitch. 1-1 the count. Just off the plate, ball 2, 2-1. Dodgers trying to go 9-4 against the American League. Red Sox are 5-7 against the National League. 2-1. That's in there. Over 90 pitches now. Again, as we said, Jim Tracy likes his starter to give him 19 outs, 19 to 20 outs. He's looking for number 18 here. Ground ball, long throw by Cora on the money. Wow. Wonderful play by Alex Cora. And for the Red Sox, 1 run, 1 hit. And at the end of 5.5 innings, the Dodgers holding on and leading the Red Sox 3-1. Dodgers leading the Red Sox 3-1, bottom of the 6th inning. On the scoreboard, Arizona leading Toronto 2-1. The Giants leading the Orioles 3-2 in the 5th. Devil Rays leading the Rockies. Padres leading the Yankees. That's important for the Red Sox. Marlins beat the Tigers. Expos over the Indians. By the way, must have been quite a game. St. Louis at Chicago. The Cubs won it 2-1 as Green drives it to right, but it's at Nixon for the out. 1 away. In the Cubs-Cardinal game, the time of game in this day and age, John Lieber beat Woody Williams, and the time of game 1 hour and 49 minutes. So the batter is Karras. Eric's had a tough night, struck out twice, 0 for 2, and Burkett has just outthought him up to here. Ball 1. Roll at a shortstop to Garcia Parra. So 2 down in the 6th inning. John Burkett is due to bat second when the Red Sox hit in the 7th inning. So we'll see whether this is last inning or not. Brian Jordan coming up. Well, hi there, Bright Eyes. Got your little Dodger tags on. Thank goodness we can wash them off, right, when we get home. Dad saying, here, why don't you just take a little time out. Strike 1 to Jordan. Popped up, rolled out, 0 for 2. Lou Merlone, John Burkett, and then Johnny Damon in the 7th inning. Foul ball. 0-2 to Jordan. Meanwhile, Noble sitting alongside of Jack Clark, and Eric Karras on the other side, chilling out a little bit. 0-2. Little ground ball. Boy, the location of the pitches Jordan didn't have a good swing at all as he rolls out. So give Burkett credit, a strong inning, and at the end of 6, 3-1 Dodgers. Dodger Baseball is brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California, by SBC, Infinite Character SBC, and by Pennzoil, we're driving protection. Well, we're going to the 7th inning on a lovely night and a beautiful ball game. A fine performance by John Burkett. He's getting 5s. He goes out losing 3-1, and the difference that doubled by Dave Roberts with 2 on. Meanwhile, Hideo Nomo ready to set sail into the 7th inning, and any outs that he gets from here on in. And it'll be Merloni, then Carlos Baerga, and Johnny Damon. Fly ball to center, and of course that helps out. First pitch swinging.
Your attention, please, for the Red Sox. Now batting for Burkett. Number 10, Carlos Baerga.
So Carlos Baerga coming up. Baerga coming off the bench, hitting .295, 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter. A far better hitter left-handed than right. And Baerga has been around. He first came up to Cleveland in 1990. Ball 1. Baerga hit as many as 21 home runs for the Indians. After spending, 7 years with Cleveland, he went to the Mets, then San Diego, back to Cleveland, and here he is with Boston. Shot up the middle, and a base hit for Baerga. So now, remember we told you earlier about how Tracy wants 19 outs from his starter. Nomo has gotten 19 outs. The batter is Johnny Damon. And you can see Hideo 5 pitches away from 100. Damon is 0 for 3, 2 fly balls and grounded to Karras. Johnny hitting .327. And that's going foul down the line, 0-1. 0-1 to Johnny Damon with Carlos Baerga over at first base. So Damon becomes the potential tying run. He has 5 home runs, 34 runs batted in. 0-1. And he hits a fly ball to Jordan. So now you have 2 out in the 7th inning. And Jose Offerman, the batter. Baerga at first doing a little dance trying to figure out Nomo. And then all Damon did was hit the fly ball to left field. So 2 out. Baerga is 3 for 3 in stolen bases. Offerman has grounded out, walked, and then bunted for a base hit. 1 for 2. Way out in front. Down in the bullpen, we showed you Carrara, and he has company now, Jesse Orozco. So Nomo with 2 out in the 7th inning, leading 3-1. Oh and 1. Nomo shut out the Giants into the 8th inning way back in April. He shut out Milwaukee for 6 innings and won a tough 1-0 game. And he's given up 1 so far tonight. And there goes the runner. No throw. So Baerga is now 4 for 4 in stolen bases. Looked like he wanted to go when Damon was up there, but he was only distracting. But now with 2 out, he goes and he steals it. LaDuca had a pretty fair pitch to handle, but he didn't really have a throw. Baerga had a good jump. So 2-1 to count to Offerman. And you get the idea that Nomo is not going to be pitching to Garciaparra if Offerman gets aboard. We'll see. That's a strike. So this a very, very big pitch now for Nomo. Hideo trying to win his 5th in a row and leading 3-1. Colburn and Tracy watching him carefully. 3-2 the count. By the way, over in Arizona, former Dodger Darren Fletcher has just hit a 2-run home run. Jays lead the D-backs 3-2, top of the 7th. And there's a fly ball to Green. It's playable. So Nomo has done his job. He has given the Dodgers 21 outs. And as he walks off at the end of 6½, Dodgers lead 3-1. Now for a sports update, let's go to the Fox Sports Net studio. Well, the crowd having a great time this Friday night at Dodger Stadium. Hope you'll be out here maybe tomorrow afternoon. Remember, it's a 12:20 game. And if not, Sunday afternoon to wrap up the series with the Boston Red Sox. Darren Oliver will pick up the pitching. John Burkett pitched well, but not well enough. The double after a couple, one a squib single, the blooper, and he's come out in favor of Oliver. That's a strike to Beltre, who homered. Burkett made 90 pitches. Nomo has made 103. Oliver, 31 years old, out of Kansas City. Beltre fouling it away 0-2. For Darren Oliver, he was 11-11 last year, and it seemed like he fatigued as a starter. A lot of times, if they count pitches with Oliver last year, after he made 60 pitches, the opposition hit 316. So they've decided to shorten up his work. Fly ball down the right field line. Nixon coming over there to make the play. So Beltre, after hitting the home run in the 2nd inning, hits 2 fly balls, and you recognize that man, don't you? Sure, Pedro Martinez. Pedro will be one of our guests on the Dodger Dugout Show Sunday. We'll have Pedro Martinez, Nomar Garciaparra from Whittier, and of course, Ask the Manager with Jim Tracy. That'll be Sunday at 12:30. Mark Grassolani, ball 1. Mark struck out and singled. Foul back. His single was a hard hit shot right over the glove of Hillenbrand. Then a bloop single by Cora, and then a big bunt by Nomo, followed by the double by Dave Roberts. He hit the ball over Brian Daubach's head in left field. There's a hopper to first. Offerman will handle that. 2 down. Don't forget Sunday, the concluding game with the Red Sox, and that'll be autograph day for youngsters 14 and under. They'll be signing autographs for kids in lot 32 starting at 11 a.m. So hope you make your plans and be with us either tomorrow and certainly on Sunday. Nomo on deck. The bullpen stopped throwing for the moment. It'll be interesting to see whether Nomo is still in the game or not. It might depend on whether Cora gets aboard. Alex struck out and then had the bloop single, and that's what really had to hurt the Red Sox and John Burkett. Little pop fly into shallow center. Lou Merlone made a desperate dive and actually had the ball in his glove before it spun out as he hit the grass. Two and one to count to Alex Cora. So Grassolonic rested last night at second for Cora to play, and tonight his tourist sits it out. And another little flare, and that's going to be trouble, and drop in despite Dahlbeck, and there goes Alex for two. He is in there. Well, it doesn't say you have to hit the ball hard. So Cora scoops up some real estate, and that's sure enough the sign that Nomo's out of there. It figured. So Iram Boca Chica is going to come up as Cora comes up with his second hit. So with two down here in the seventh inning, Alex legs it for two with a belly whopper, and Boca Chica off the bench to hit for Nomo. Boca Chica hitting .250. He is 4 for 15 with a home run and 2 RBIs coming off the bench. 0-1. So the Dodgers are fortunate tonight. The pop fly single by Cora, the pop fly double by Cora, and Nomo goes out leading 3-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. To look ahead when the Red Sox come up in the 8th inning, Garcia Parra, Dahlbeck, and Hillenbrand. And Hillenbrand has a single, double, and home run, and Jesse Orosco tuning up. 1-1. Ball 2. Last year, runners hit .351, or hitters hit .351 with runners in scoring position against Oliver. That really hurt him. Ball 3. On deck, Dave Roberts, who has the key hit so far in the game. By the way, Marquise Grissom has a bat in his hands in the Dodger dugout. So we'll see, should Boca Chica get on. And he's on with a walk. Does that mean Grissom is coming up? You bet it does. So Marquise coming up to bat with 2 on, 2 out, 7th inning, and the Dodgers leading 3-1. So Tracy trying to get the most out of it. And Grissom will be checking in.
For Roberts, number 9, Marquise Grissom.
So Marquise Grissom hitting .270, 9 home runs, 28 runs batted in. Only 2 for 11 coming off the bench. And after a very good April and a good May, he has struggled in June, and of course that was just about what happened to him last year. Dodgers 3 runs, 6 hits. Red Sox 1 run, 5 hits. Both Burkett and Nomo now out of the game, but they are the pitchers of record. Ball 1. Grissom is only 3 for 21 in the past against Darren Oliver. And that's ball 2. Two out, 7th inning, 3-1 Dodgers. 2-1. Alex Cora at second. Boca Chica at first, 2 down. Two and 2 to Marquise Grissom. Paul LaDuca on deck. Willie Banks gets up in the Red Sox bullpen. Cora and Boca Chica at the ready. Deuces wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. Dodgers lead by 2. Breaking ball in on the hands, though when he turned on it, the best he could do is pull that foul. And it's still 2 and 2. $12:20 tomorrow, 1:10 on Sunday. Nomo 2-1 in his career against the Red Sox, and the pitcher of record tonight. 2 and 2. So first the breaking ball in on the hands, then the fastball down. So Oliver has to come up with a big pitch here with 2 out and the runners going, and the skipper Little sweating him out a little bit as well. So the runners ready to go. Cora and Boca Chica, 3 and 2. There they go, and it's fouled back out of play. Marquise Grissom, a veteran who's been through just about every pressure spot you can imagine. Great career with Montreal and Atlanta. Hitting for Dave Roberts, who has the key hit tonight, a double over the head of Brian Daubach to drive in 2, and that's the difference in the game right now. 3 and 2. The runners go, and it's way outside to load him up. We told you Willie Banks is in the pen, and we'll see now whether they want Willie to face LaDuca or not. And the answer is no. Left-hand batters last year hit .315 against Oliver, and LaDuca tonight has grounded out twice and flied to center 0 for 3. So Cora at third, Boca Chica at second, Grissom at first, strike 1. Red Sox had the bases loaded in the 3rd inning with 2 out, and Brian Daubach struck out. So LaDuca up there with a chance to open it up a little bit. 0-1 to Paulie, hitting .310. Almost hit him. 1-1 to count. Alex Cora with a flare double is now at third. Boca Chica, who walked, is now at second. Marquise Grissom, who walked, is now at first. 2 out. 1-1 to LaDuca. Fastball hit under the feet, the dancing feet of Glenn Hoffman. 1-2. Big moment for Nomo, of course, trying to make it 5 in a row and get his record to 7-5. He made 103 pitches tonight. 1-2 to LaDuca. Breaking ball hit to right, but Nixon is there to flag it. So the Dodgers lose a big opportunity. No runs, 1 hit, and 3 left. And at the end of 7, as Nomo says goodnight, it's 3-1 Dodgers. A reminder, the Southern California Sports Report coming up right after the ball game. And we have a dandy going here. 3-1 Dodgers, top of the 8th inning. Giovanni Carraro will be pitching to Nomar Garciaparra, Brian Daubach, and then Shea Hillenbrand. Ferrara 4-2 in his 34th game. Garciaparra struck out, walked, and hit into a force play. Hit the ball hard, and Beltry stayed with it. This time, Nomar, a fly ball to Green. Remember, we told you he loves to go after that first pitch. And he flies out and goes 0 for 3. So 1 out here in the 8th inning. And Brian Dahlbach coming up. Hideo Nomo had 4 strikeouts. He struck out Dahlbach twice, but the big strikeout was in the 3rd inning. That's when Nomo broke his bat twice with the bases loaded and then struck him out for a milestone strikeout, 1500th in his career. Brian 0 for 3. Right. And of course, Dahlbach playing up a little bit on the left-hand hitting Dave Roberts. Had Roberts hit one over his head for a double to drive in 2, and that's the difference in the game. 3-1 Dodgers, 8th inning. In San Francisco, Marty Cordova just hit a home run with 2 out in the 6th inning off Kurt Reeder. So Baltimore has tied up the Giants 3-3. Marty's 2nd home run of the night. Ball 2. The only run for the Red Sox, the home run by Shea Hillenbrand in the 6th inning. He's out on deck. Two and 2 the count to Brian Dahlbach. Dahlbach, 30 years old, out of Belleville, Illinois. That's just outside of St. Louis. Belleville, the home of Bob Golby, the Masters champion, and Jimmy Connors, the tennis great. Hit foul off to the left and out of play. Still 2 and 2 to Brian. Pedro not involved in the game as he sits back with Nomar Garciaparra. He had a big night last night in San Diego. And Dahlbach having one of those nights. Strikes out a 3rd time. And with 2 down, Shea Hillenbrand coming up. Boy, what a night for Shea. He came up in the 2nd inning and singled sharply to right field. Came up in the 4th inning and hit a bullet into the left field corner for a double. And in the 6th inning, for good measure, hit a home run the other way into right center field. So he needs a triple for the cycle. The last cycle turned in by a Red Sox, John Valentin, 6 years ago against the White Sox. Strike. There have been 19 Red Sox players to hit for the cycle. Among them the great Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Bobby Doerr, Joe Cronin. It's like going through the history book of the Boston Red Sox. Dwight Evans, Rich Gedman, on and on. Tris Speaker. So he's a triple away. Now for Shea Hillenbrand, he has 2 triples this year. Hitting .313. The top 3rd baseman in the American League. Ball 2. Time. Two balls, 1 strike. And into deep left field. It's not a triple. It's one better. His second home run of the night. And the Dodger lead is cut to 3-2. And for Shea Hillenbrand, he roughs up Carrera, who has now given up 7 home runs. Boy, what a night for a brilliant young third baseman. He won't be 27 until the end of July. Out of Mesa, Arizona. And it is hard to believe in watching that sweet swing that he has tonight that he was in a 4 for 29 slump. So Shea Hillenbrand had not only hit the ball out of the park, he might have knocked Carrera out as well. Hillenbrand has 13 home runs, leading the Sox, and Jim Tracy bringing a hook, and that means with 2 out in the 8th inning, bienvenue, Monsieur Gagne. So Eric Gagne hoping to ride to the rescue. Dodgers leading 3-2, and we'll be back. It figured to be an exciting series, and it is certainly off to a great start. Tomorrow at 12:20, Derek Lowe and Omar Dahl. Sunday, Rolando Arroyo and Andy Ashby with the Dodger Dugout Show at 12:30. Tonight, enjoying every minute of this thriller, the paid attendance 46,719. 46,719. So 3-2 Dodgers. Shea Hillenbrand talking to Dwight Evans, who was a great hitter in his time with the Sox. But now it's Trot Nixon. A strike. Eric Gagne with 25 saves, leading the major leagues. 52 strikeouts and 4 walks. 0-2. It's rather phenomenal. You know, the last time Gagne walked a batter was May the 4th against the Cubs. That's over 80 batters ago. Foul back. 0-2. Out on deck, the catcher Jason Varitek, switch hitter, who would bat for Mirabelli and stay in the game. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers, 2 runs, 6 hits for the Red Sox. 0-2 to Nixon. Ball 1. So Carrera struck out Dahlbach, got Garcia Parra, but gave up a home run to Hillenbrand. You don't like to bring your closer in more than just for the 9th inning. Got him. Off speed on the corner. But with 2 out in the 8th, Tracy decided Gagne can get 1 extra man, and he did just that. And at the end of 7½, Dodgers 3, Red Sox 2. Dodger Baseball is brought to you by Saab, by Jack in the Box, by MGD, by Southwest Airlines, and by Buick. It's all good. We have come to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's a whale of a ball game. Dodgers 3, Red Sox 2. Giovanni Carrera is beside himself. He is so angry for serving up that home run to Shea Hillenbrand. And now Jim Tracy, who is so good at it, gives him a little Dutch uncle talk to try and shape him back up. Meanwhile, Shawn Green rolling one into left field for a base hit against Darren Oliver. The Green 1 for 4 as he singles to left, and that'll bring up Eric Karros. That is hit number 2 of Oliver, hit number 7 for the Dodgers. Carrera now calmed down a little bit. Of course, the big thing, he's furious as Little now heads for the mound. He has Willie Banks down in the pen, and Willie's going to come in. So with Green at first, nobody out in the 8th, and the Dodgers leading 3-2. We'll be back. A reminder, the Dodgers host the Colorado Rockies for Think Red, White, and Blue Week starting this Monday through Thursday. All fans in attendance on Monday receive a free Dodger blue wig, compliments of Mervyn. Willie Banks coming out of the Red Sox bullpen. Willie has bounced around a lot. He originally came up with Minnesota, then went to the Cubs. Actually appeared in 6 games for the Dodgers back in 1995. Then he went to Florida. Then he went to the Yankees and Arizona. Then he went over to Japan and pitched for Oryx. Then Surpass in Japan, and eventually last year returned to the United States. So he'll face Eric Karros with a runner at first, nobody out. Karros is 3 for 9 against him in the past. Foul back, 0-1. Eric tonight was really outpitched. John Burkett did a tremendous job striking out Karros in the 2nd and in the 4th. Then last time up got him to ground out. Burkett pitched very well tonight. He was unlucky in the 5th inning, and sometimes that's a difference. 0-1. 1-1. In the 5th inning, Grassolonic a single past Hillenbrand, but then Cora a pop fly in and out of a diving Lou Merloni's glove. Then Nomo sacrificed, and Roberts doubled over Dahlbach's head, and that's the difference in the game. Green a good base runner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Foul back. Green has stolen 4 out of 5. Karras has a look at Glenn Hoffman. So does Green. It's not a manager's count, however. 1 and 2. Turn it around, it would be. Meanwhile, Eric Gagne and his battery mate Paul LaDuca taking it all in. Hard ground ball to 3rd. Hillenbrand down to 2nd. They turn it to 1st. A nice play, but Offerman came off the bag. He will appeal to Kerwin Danley. In fact, I think they're saying he wasn't in possession of the ball, and the skipper goes out now to appeal. And Kerwin Danley is right there to explain what he saw.
Left fielder number 33, Brian Jordan.
So the Dodgers get a big break. There's a ground ball to Hillenbrand. He gets it down to Merloni. And then the throw to first. Seemed to sail a bit down the right field line. Offerman has the ball. Well, I guess he just ruled that he did not have possession of it. He had an ice cream cone, that's for sure, but it looked like it was in the glove until he held it up. So it'll just go as a force play, and ball 1 to Brian Jordan. Jordan has popped up, grounded to short, grounded to 2nd. 1 ball and no strikes, hitting .281. And a foul ball that should carry back into the stands, and does. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers 3, Red Sox 2. Dodgers led 1-0 on Beltre's home run. Made it 3-0 on the 2 RBI double by Dave Roberts. Only Shea Hillenbrand homered in the 6th, homered in the 8th. And it's a tough 1-run game. One and 1. And there goes Karras of all people, and the throw down. See you later. Once in a while he'll get away with a surprise, but not that time. So Karras is nailed easily. Eric had stolen 3 out of 4, and you can see head down digging. That's a straight steal, but the throw beat him to the bag. So now Jordan up there with 2 out, 2-1 to count. Fastball fouled away. 2-2. Banks clocked at 94 on that pitch. Two and 2 to Jordan. Ball 3. Last year, Banks was at Pawtucket, and when they called him up, it was the first time he was back in the big league since 1998. Made the most of the opportunity and caught on to be with the big club again this year. 3-2. Another foul out of play. One thing about Banks, he really has a good pitcher's delivery, in the sense he has a slight pause to collect himself, throws completely over the top, and his back does all the work. It would appear to take a lot of the stress off the arm. 3-2. And he walked him. So Jordan at first, but instead of first and second and 1 out, there's a runner at first with 2 out, and Adrian Beltre coming up. Beltre has never faced Banks before. Homered against Burkett in the 2nd inning. Then Burkett kept the ball away from him, and Adrian hit 2 fly balls to right. Whoa, ball 1. Boy, he really let that thing fly. Clocked at 94. Banks coming into the game with 6 strikeouts and 4 walks in 7 innings. 1-0. Ball 2. He's throwing hard. 2-0 the count, right at 94. In the inning, Green single. Karras forced him, almost hit into a double play. Eric, trying to surprise, as he does a couple of times a year, was caught stealing. Ball 3. On deck, Mark Grasolonic. Grasolonic is 2 for 4 in the past against Willie Banks. And he walked him. So Beltre draws the walk. Turns out now that attempted steal by Karras is a huge play, plus the call at first base.
Second baseman number 8.
On the throw that apparently got away from Jose Offerman. So 2 on, 2 out. And the batter, Grasolonic. Mark Grasolonic tonight struck out, singled by Hillenbrand, and grounded out. Mark 1 for 3. As you probably know, if you have been following the Dodgers, he's had a bad right hand, even had a sore back, but he keeps hanging in there. Had last night off, but he's right back in there tonight. But his average now has dipped to 237. And looked like a big overhand curveball, one of the few he has thrown for a strike. Casey Fossum, a left-hander, with Alex Cora out on deck. So Fossum playing possum in the bullpen. And another one. That's 2 in a row. After all those fastballs he was throwing to Jordan and Beltre, he's muttering to himself. He's come back now with 2 overhand breaking balls and for strikes, and the count 0-2. Grasolonic 2 for 21 during this homestand. 0-2. And another one, a slow roll to third. Hillenbrand juggles and can make a play. Have to look at that again, because I wonder if Shea might have been able to step on the bag at third, or was the ball just hit so slowly he had to commit. Take a look. Big overhand breaker and a little dribbler up along third. Hillenbrand going towards the bag.
Shortstop.
I guess the only play he could see was the play at first. Let's see where Jordan is. Yeah, he probably couldn't have jammed on the brakes at all. It's going to go as an error and load the bases. Now Alex Cora coming up. Casey Fossum down in the bullpen, but they're staying with Banks. With the bases loaded, the question always, does the hitter have a grand slam? And in Cora's case, no. In the Dodger dugout, as Little goes out to the mound to bring in a left-hander, if they bat for Cora, they have Rabelais and Chad Kruger and his Turris, who could bat for Cora and then just stay in. And for his Turris, in a sense, this is when you want him to hit against a left-hander. We'll tell you why more right after this. Dodgers leading the Red Sox 3-2 with 2 out, bottom of the 8th inning, bases loaded. Grady Little brings in the left-hander Casey Fossum, and the Dodgers counter with Cesar Izturis, and they would much rather have Izturis hitting now, because batting right-handed, Izturis is hitting .329. By the way, they have changed it, and that was a good call. They are changing the error charge to Shea Hillenbrand and ruling it a base hit. That was a tough play. So, okay, Izturis with Jordan at third, Beltre at second, and Grassolonic at first. 2 out, 3-2 Dodgers. And Casey Fossum, an Aggie out of Texas A&M. Not ready yet. Fossum pitched in the '99 College World Series for the Aggies. And that's a strike. Casey was the Red Sox 3rd pick in the first round. They got him really from Arizona for the signing of Greg Swindell. Fossum with a record of 2-1. Breaking ball missed. 1-1. Casey was born in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I think Oral Hershiser was born there, just outside of Philadelphia. But he lives in Waco, Texas. 1-1 to count. Fastball, ball 2. Let's see what Casey has done. 10 walks, 18 strikeouts in 30 innings. Two and 1 to count. That was a questionable pitch. That might have been ball 3. It was certainly up and away. Whether it stayed in the zone and was over the plate's another story, but Cesar went after it. 2-2. Dodgers have gotten 2 hits and 2 walks and have nothing to show for it, with 2 out in the 8th. Fastball hit foul. Offerman on the run. No play. So Jordan waits at third, Beltre at second, and Grassolonic in first. By the way, when the Red Sox come up in the 9th inning, they'll have Doug Mirabelli, Lou Merloni, and Fossum spot, and among others, we figure to see Jason Varitek. All right, 2-2 to Izturis. Fastball hopped in the air. A trio of Red Sox. The middleman, Johnny Damon, makes the catch. So Fossum comes in and gets his tourist. The Dodgers squander what appeared to be a big opportunity, and Gagne goes to the ninth, leading 3-2. It's been 8 exciting innings, and pretty much here what has taken on. Beltre homered to give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. Alex Cora hit a little flare in and out of the glove of Lou Merlone, and with 2 on and 2 out, Dave Roberts hit one over Dahlbach's head for a double to give the Dodgers a 3-1 lead. However, Shea Hillenbrand has hit 2 home runs to tighten it up 3-2, and now trying to hold on to it, Eric Gagne will be pitching to Mirabelli, Merlone, and then Fossum's spot, trying to save this one for Hideo Nomo. Mirabelli grounded out twice, flied to center. Doug 0 for 3. Ball 1. Hitting .246. Remember, this is a Red Sox ball club that is 28-9 on the road. Fastball. 1-1. Nothing cute about that. 97 miles an hour and in on the hands. That's a strike. Mirabelli hasn't had a lot of at-bats. He has struck out 20% of the time. One ball and 2 strikes. Boy, I tell you what, Gagne comes in and strikes out Trot Nixon to win the 8th. Now he comes in and blows away Mirabelli. And the batter is the second baseman, Lou Merlone. Lou Merlone walked and got as far as third in the 3rd inning. Hit into a force play in the 4th, fly to center in the 7th. And of course, he'll go to bed tonight thinking about that bloop single by Alex Cora, a strike that was in and out of his glove. The Dodgers, meanwhile, with his tourist playing shortstop for Cora here in the 9th, they have to be thinking they left the bases loaded in the 8th and in the 7th. 1-1. So the Dodgers making things a little tight for themselves, leaving 6 men in the last 2 innings. That's a strike. Merlone did not agree with Dana Demuth. Jason Varitek is out on deck now for the Red Sox. 1-2. Foul back. Remember, Varitek was out on deck when Nixon struck out to end the 8th inning. The Red Sox have left 7 men on base, leaving the bases loaded in the 3rd when Brian Dahlbach struck out. So for the skipper, a little tough right now with 1 out in the 9th inning. 1-2. Tomorrow a 12:20 game. Derek Lowe and Omar Dahl. Sunday a 1:10 game. It'll be Arroyo and Ashby with the Dodger dugout show at 12:30 on UPN 13. Over in Arizona, they're tied up 3-3, bottom of the 9th. 1-2 to Lou Merlone. Got him. Gagne has come in to strike out 3 in a row. And now Jason Varitek coming up to hit for Casey Fossum.
Your attention, please, to the Red Sox.
Now this crowd is on its feet trying to root Gagne home. Boy, he has really become Mr. Excitement. And with 2 out in the 9th inning, Jason Varitek hitting .262, 5 home runs, 4 of them left-handed. Strike. Two out, 9th inning, 3-2 Dodgers. I mean, he has this crowd delirious. 46,719. One pitch from striking out the side. Got him. He is unbelievable. Say magnifica is not enough. We'll have to improve our French a great deal. Eric Gagne, the player of the game, comes in and strikes out 4 consecutive hitters. He has 26 saves, and when you look at his numbers, you find out it is really science fiction. He has 56 strikeouts and only 4 walks. So Eric Gagne, with that battered hat, comes in and batters the opposition. And the Dodgers win at 3-2. It's Dahl tomorrow at 12:20 and Ashby on Sunday at 1:10. Once again, the final score, Dodgers 3, Red Sox 2. For Ross Porter and Rick Monday, this is Vin Scully saying so long from Dodger Stadium. Now for Dodger postgame coverage and all the day's local sports news, let's go to the Southern California Sports Report. Good night, everybody.